So, welcome to Powergrip Podcast Season 3. I'm your host, Teemu Nissinen, and today I have a special guest from United States. He's 1022 rated professional disc golfers, and his main sponsors are Dynamic Discs and Whale Sacks. He also represents Potter Pants and Team Warden. Please welcome Eric Oakley to Powergrip Podcast.
What's up, Teemu? It's good to see you, bud.
What's up? How's your off season have been?
It was actually a pretty interesting one. I took, for the first time, I had to take some time off. I had a little elbow issues that ended up, I think we kind of diagnosed it as tendonitis. And so I took some time off. And that was the first time in like 7 or 8 years that I took more than like 3 or 4 days off from throwing. And then I came back and my elbow's feeling good. I've had it worked on from a good friend of mine, Dan, who's a chiropractor. So he worked on it a lot. I worked with Seth Muncie about doing some exercises for it. And, you know, it's off season was interesting. We bought a second house here in Pensacola, Florida. And so that's been crazy. And then I'm like, oh, I need to get ready for the year. Oh, I need to start throwing. My elbow's feeling better. Let's get going. And it just kind of like whirlwinded. And then I played Vegas and it's like, okay, here we are. Season's back. It was nuts.
Yeah. But it's good that you get some a little bit time off and you guys bought a new house and, now your elbow is good and ready to go, and I guess your next tournament is Vaco coming up, and then it's tour life after that.
Onward.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
But let's start this podcast with my traditional question, and let's do some time traveling first. And the question is that when, where, and how you discovered sport of disc golf.
So a good friend of mine, his name is Ian Keeble, who I played soccer with. We were on the same club team, and he happened to live near me. So he just said, "Hey, do you want to play disc golf?" And I had no idea what he meant. And I was like, "Sure, let's go." And we went to a course in Grapevine, Texas, called Bear Creek, which is no longer around. It turned into a dog park or something like that. Mm-hmm. But we went out there. I had some DX Valkyries or something like that, and I was ripping into trees. I was awful, but I think at one point I threw one and it like kind of went straight, and I was like, I'm hooked. I'm done. Like, this is the best game ever. We went back to his house and pulled up, like, it would have been 2004, 2003, 2004 USDGC videos online. Okay. And I think this is before YouTube, but correct me if I'm wrong, but he pulled them up. And that's when I saw the Brinster hop. That's when I saw like everything in it. So I've incorporated that little hop into my throw. And I was hooked. I went and watched videos on how to push putt. I watched anything I could find on the internet that had to do with like getting better at disc golf. I was on. And we were lucky at my high school that we had a disc golf club that was like 2 or 3 years before us. So they bought some baskets. So we just had some baskets out in this big open field. Okay. So me and my friend, who then I got into, his name is Cody, and we just would go and just try and throw as far as we could. Just ripping discs. Yeah. And we were like, oh, dude, I threw that one like 300 feet. We're so sick. And we thought we were really good. It was so fun. And I don't know, it just became that spiral kind of thing. I ended up buying one of those Innova skill shot baskets, the cloth ones that you can set up and down. And, I was in the backyard putting. I went out to some leagues and just kind of played and just kind of was so enthralled by the sport early on. And, but I ended up like here and there taking breaks because I was so devoted to soccer at the time, but I always had like disc golf as this thing to do when I wasn't playing soccer. So it was always there, even through college. And even when I was looking to aspire to be a professional soccer player, I always kind of pushed myself to play disc golf as a hobby. And now it's become my job. So it's sick.
Yeah. Do you remember what was your first own disc? You said that you bought.
I think it was, it was
your friend's Valkyrie in the first, but what was your first like?
I remember a DX Leopard and a Valkyrie and an AVR. I remember having those three. And then I remember getting a rock shortly after that. Yeah. And the rock was the first disc that I threw like smooth on this little like 190-foot downhill hole. And I threw it and it just like went straight and then didn't move off the line. And I was like, I am a god. Like, I am way too good for this game. Like, I've done it. Like, again, it was so easy to get hooked, you know?
So it's funny that every guy that I have asked what's their first, it's always like drivers. So never the, and then we always say, oh, you should try the mid range or something. But
we didn't have the same influence of YouTubers and tons of pros who were accessible back in the day to be like, stop throwing drivers. It's going to be bad. You need to throw mid ranges and putters.
But like, you're known throwing a lot of sidearms these days, but in the beginning, was like only backhand, or how you guys figure out the different ways to throw the disc?
Just from watching the USDGC videos, we didn't see many sidearm throws, so that's why I stuck to the backhand. Yeah. And, like, I had a functional enough sidearm where I take a Firebird and I throw it as hard as I possibly could. It goes 225 and dumps to the right. Like, you had to have that. Yeah. And as like to develop a sidearm, I didn't really develop that until I was already kind of touring as a disc golfer, essentially. But I watched Sexton, I watched Jeremy Colling throw, and I was like, okay, I need that. Yeah. I need to have that. And Eagle and I were actually kind of working on our forehands kind of at a similar time frame that we both wanted to get better at it. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, back in the day, I was pretty garbage. Like, when it came to a sidearm, I had that.
But that's also like tells to the listeners that it's never too late to start working with the sidearm. It's actually, and I think it's actually like, I don't know, could be also a bit easier to learn afterwards than a backhand. Like incorrectly, it's like, I think it's more like natural movement. Like if you have
baseball, tennis, like a lot of backgrounds, like the forehand throw really easily.
So you mentioned a little bit about your soccer background. My question was like, do you have a sports background before disc golf, and what made you change over?
So I played most sports growing up, you know. Yeah. Soccer was the main one, but I got into basketball. I was a field goal kicker for football. I played hockey even. I was a goalie for a little bit. Really? And I loved playing hockey. Like, if I had to go back and do it, I might have invested more time into hockey, because it's just, I don't know, I love the sport. And and then never really played baseball, so that was it. But I just was so enthralled into soccer. But as I progressed, you know, I went to college for a year, then I ended up stopped going to college to go and pursue some more semi-pro stuff, because I felt like that was a better avenue to get where I was trying to go and devote my time to that. Shortly after that, I developed a couple injuries, and through all this time, I'd be playing disc golf here and there. I had an Achilles injury that kind of set me back, and then now at this point, I'm creeping into my 20s, and like at that point, like when you're getting to your mid 20s, you're like not really good enough to be a professional soccer player anymore, because they can find some 19-year-old that they can easily say is like, we'll sign him over this 23-year-old, because that's 4 years of time where we can develop him into this. Where at that point, so I saw the opportunities kind of slipping away. So I put more time into disc golf. I was lucky enough to have a couple jobs that allowed for me to play disc golf on the weekends, or take a lunch break and go throw that at a course that was right near where I was working. And, you know, I could wake up early in the morning if I really wanted to and go cruise around and get golf in. So I kind of started pushing as much disc golf as I could into what I was trying to do. And it was a pretty seamless transition, because I always wanted to stay competitive. Disc golf became that thing that was like easy competition. You can do it with yourself because you want to improve. You can beat your score from yesterday. You can make more putts in practice. So it's so simple to kind of easily transition and fill the void.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the tryouts and try to make to the team and then try to, you know.
Yeah, and I could have been
coach like you that you're able to play. And
no, it's all me. It's all me. Like I had never really played individual sports either. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And all ownership is on you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like my background was like always like team sports, and then I was like, it's kind of like, oh, you play great, but then the team doesn't. Sucks. You play bad, team good. Like, should I cheer now? So it's like disc golf. If you play bad, it's all on you. So. Totally. Like, even though like all the disc golfers still we'll blame
everybody. That is the disc golfer way. It's never actually my fault. It's the basket. It's whatever. Wind did this. It's like we learned from some of the greats. Like some of the older guys, they really kind of paved the way for us to complain as professionals. So I don't blame us, but we need to start taking ownership. Eventually, we will.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
Then moving on from that, when you started to think about that, you want to try to become a like professional disc golfer and make a living out of it. What time or what year we're on that time?
Okay, so I've always forgotten. I think it was like 2012-ish, maybe 2011. Like it could be anywhere from 2011 to 2013. So like you can go look up when I started my PGA, and that'll be easier. But since I had been playing so much since I was 14, 15 years old, I had been playing enough disc golf that I had, learned some of the right mechanics, we could say, you can see me throw some mechanics that are right. But I was a competitive player and I was an athlete. So everything kind of started to come a little bit more natural in that. And I happened to interact with a Team DD player named Tony Shirley. He's a Masters guy back in Texas. And I happened to just kind of get into his circle of good disc golfers. Like it's crazy because where I was living was in Arlington, Texas, where the Veterans Park Open, VPO is. Yeah. And I'd go out and play those courses all the time. And I happened to meet him and get in, like I said, I ran in with his crew. And it's kind of interesting because the Masters players out in Arlington are open quality players. They're so good. They're like the Johnny McRae's but of the local scene, and they just kill it. So you could play good and get smoked by a Masters player by like 3 or 4 strokes, and they'd be like, don't need to throw far to kick your butt. And so it was really fun to compete with them. And I remember going into my first tournament, I was like, all right, cool. I've played that course. I'm ready for it. I want to do this. And I played around with Tony that day. And I happened to get I think it was like 6 or 7 birdies in a row in a decently difficult layout. And it was like drive 20-footer, drive 20-footer, drive 20-footer. It was just like easy golf. Yeah. And he goes, "You're playing open. You are not going to play in the amateur division. You need to go play an open. That's where you're going to learn." And to this day, I can thank him. I can thank Tony Shirley for putting me in that place to say, I already wanted to play an open. I wanted to be a professional. I didn't want to. Amateur doesn't do much for me, and I don't think it would have. But I'm so happy he did, because I learned so much in those early tournaments about how to compete at a higher level. How do I elevate my game? How do I get more consistent? So it was all really cool. And then at that point, I've never played an amateur tournament, so I just always kept playing pro.
It gave you that little confidence to go to the open and like, okay, somebody else believing in me. So
100%.
Go to the open and then learn. So and that's usually like when people start to like peak, when they go from maybe juniors or amateurs to open. It's like people usually, when they play amateurs, they just like look the ratings and stuff, but it's totally different when you play on the division and you play with the open players, and that's usually when people like go like from like pretty average player to something more consistent quite fast, and and that happened then. So then like when you kind of then became like a real like professional, and when you went to the tour, did you have some like key friends to help you started that dream? And when that happened, and tell everything about that.
All right. So I was in Utah and I played with Chris Telesbo, Team DD player now. And we would play every single day. So it was kind of cool getting ready to I didn't know I was going to go on tour at that point. But we played every single day. So I had a competitive round of disc golf every single day with him. And we both got really good. And we just ramped up super fast. And then I happened to go to Texas when I was living in Utah. I flew back to Texas, played a tournament, played against Simon, played a really hot first round, and got to play with him on lead card the second round. And I didn't play that well, but I kept a good attitude. And he already knew, he could see my bag. It's full of Discmania. I was already, posting on everything about Discmania at the time.
Fanboy.
Super fanboy. Of course I was. We had to be. And I still
Of
am
course.
a fanboy to Simon and to Eagle as much as I am a competitor now. I'm always going to be a fanboy for those guys. But then I shortly after that got sponsored. I was able to kind of hang out with Simon and Jamie Thomas when they were in the RV together. And they saw that I could kind of do that, like be a guy behind a table also play and be a representative. So I was lucky enough that shortly after that they needed a new RV driver, and I was in a situation where I could do it. So I was able to kind of get thrusted into that. So I give a lot of thanks to Jamie Thomas, to Simon, and to Erno and UC for kind of the opportunity in me, and that propelled everything. And at that point, when I was first on the road, I was able to meet Eagle and hang out with him. And we quickly became really good friends. Obviously we had to, because we were on the same team, but we were spending a lot of time and traveling together at some certain points. And it kind of ramped into this really cool thing. So I am thankful to Discmania for that opportunity, because it allowed for me to travel first to get an idea. And I played terribly that first stretch of the season, which was, I think I cashed at like maybe 2 events. But
this is, we're talking now 2016, 15? Okay.
15 or 16. I'd have to, and it was where I fell in love with the Green Mountain Championships. It was a lot of stuff. And in those travels, I hung out with Katrina Allen. I hung out with Paul Ulibarri, Drew Gibson, Ricky Wysocki. A lot of really cool people that are like hanging out with this 960 guy who drives a Discmania RV, and that, like, they just like kind of opened up to me like I was one of the touring guys, and it was cool. And then I was able to go to California, work with Discmania for the off season. But California in the winter is perfect, so I played every single day. I was grinding, so that's whenever I really saw probably the most of my development, was that level of effort, putting it in. We had to put bubble wrap on the basket in the backyard on the pole to make it
silent enough.
To silent it, because I was in the backyard putting constantly. So to not disturb the guys I lived with, it was but I would wake up early, go to the field, throw, go to work, play, or go to work, and then go back to the course, throw, go home, putt, sleep, do the same the next day.
And you were the guy that you helped running was it what was the tour with Simon? Flying Circus?
Flying Circus was more with Jamie, but then we kind of did the same with me and Simon for a little bit, but Simon wasn't actually supposed to go with me until things got shaken up, and he jumped in with me, and so we just kind of ran some events. And then we ran the second season, we tried out the poker run stuff, and it didn't really take off, but it was just easier for us to set up, have the radar gun, and do some fun stuff. And honestly, just having merchandise, we learn now, is just like, if you have stuff to sell, people are going to buy it, and it's going to be profitable. So it was good.
Yeah. And I look a little bit about your PDGA and 2016 you started tour at more, but then when I look then 2017 you really took off. Then you played every pro tour and national tour. And I thought about that time frame, from 2016, 2017 till this day. And professional disc golf have changed a lot, especially in these years. And example, Jome started on that time to film full time. They have filmed earlier some Texas tournaments, but full time on that time. Disc Golf Pro Tour started. Then we had a few years, we have World Tour, Disc Golf World Tour, and sponsorships have grown significantly. Paul Macbeth now making $1 million a year, and so it's a whole nother level. So my question is how you look everything that have changed in your perspective in these last 4 or 5 years on tour and have your approach to the game and training changed much?
Well, the sport has changed immensely because like back in the day, if you shot 1,000 rated, like averaged about 1,000 rated, you knew you were guaranteed money and you were like decent money. Now you can shoot 1,000 rated and not make a dime. And that's insane. But it shows that the level of competition has raised to like that 10.05, 10.10 level of that's the bare minimum if you want to make something, or at least maybe break even on the weekend.
Nowadays, like 10, 15, 20 is a new 1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I mean, there's so many players. Like I look and I have a decent rating in the 1020s. Yeah. And I'm still one of like the 30th highest rated player at the event. So if I finish any bit higher than that, I exceeded my expectations in a sense. And it's pretty nuts seeing how deep the field is in comparison, where you kind of knew that if you just played okay, that you could make some money, 3 years ago. But now you have to kind of go out and be good. So that what all that's done to my training process is like, all right, cool. I need to be more decisive on the green. I need to be more confident in my driving ability. So it all functioned together of, all right, the practice is good, but now we hone in on why we're doing the practice. So I think that's the only part that's changed is I used to throw just to throw. And now I'm throwing with a lot more purpose. Ow, Spout, stop. She just tried to jump on my lap and fell. So yeah, that part of it is, I think, where the game has gotten incredibly crazy is how good everyone is and how much time and effort you need to do. Because if you want to play well and you want to be in the top 10, you got to have a good weekend. And you can't make many mistakes. So that consistency level comes into play.
And it's also fun to see that, let's say, like even like five years ago, like how many players before their round made a proper warm up?
No,
how many?
I didn't.
How many ate the like good food? Like it's like it's way more professional, and I guess for you it's been quite nice to be on that kind of front seat to see these last like 5 years on tour and everything around it have like grown so much, and now it's time to also enjoy it. So all the berries that.
Well, it's also the growth of social media, I think, was a big factor because a big reason why I was like able to pick up an additional a sponsorship once I moved away from Discmania was my social media presence through hanging out with Simon. I was known. People knew who I was, so it helped gain my notoriety. Putter pants, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all that kind of going into it led to this amazing opportunity. So I've just kind of continued to grow that, continue to stay active in the disc golf community, social media wise, and that part alone has made things good because it doesn't matter if I play well. If I make a good post, I'm still interacting and I'm still growing my brand. So, playing well becomes an awesome sugar on top type of thing. So.
Yeah. And nowadays it's good that like I mentioned that Jome started to film full time, but now because disc golf is growing so much, we have like so many other media outlets out there as well. Like Jomes maybe usually like films the lead card, but then we have like Gatekeeper Media and GK all these other
everything. It's amazing.
Yeah. So then if you're like chase or even third card, you could easily like get some like coverage time and nowadays it's huge for like and those will got a lot of views and one thing that all the players like are quite blessed that these media crews, they're making such a high level YouTube stuff nowadays. So it's actually like all the fans love to watch that as well. And then all
it's
the
awesome
commentator stuff is also point on nowadays.
Oh, agreed.
PG Podcast.
What is your most memorable disc golf moment so far?
Oh man, there's two that stick out. I think the most.
Tell me.
And that was the winning an A tier. And actually, my first PDGA win was an A tier event.
Okay.
For Stelly Coombe in Seattle, Washington.
That was 2017. Okay.
I believe. And that was, so I'm a 960 rated player. I go out, I beat Paul Ulibari, Dustin Keegan, Eagle McMahon, and a bunch of other amazing players up in that area. I love you. And it was cool. It was it was really cool because at that point so to predate that, GBO happened, and I had my hot round at Peter Pan and played well and finished in the top 20 as a 960 rated player at the Glassblown Open. That's a pretty solid finish, and so I knew that I had it in me to play well. So then transitioned to Fort Selly. I just happened to have 3 rounds of really good golf and was able to take it down. And it was, to come out and do that, it kind of solidified that I knew I was doing the right thing. And I was going to continue to progress if I put the time in because, let's be real. If looking back at that tournament, I had a lot of things go my way. Too. I had a lot of left side putts just stay in. And how many times have you played those tournaments where, it could have stayed in and it falls out. And then you're like, cool, I lose. I don't play that well. And things just kind of worked out and went my way. And it was awesome. I was also throwing the disc really well and I was making good decisions and it kind of spiraled into some really good things. And then the next moment that kind of really stands out to me because as I mentioned before, I was watching old USDGC videos. So playing at Winthrop was something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to be part of the USDGC as this prestigious event. It was it's the first tournament golf I ever watched. So it had this extra factor. So I qualified through Monday qualifying, and that was a really, really cool feeling to get out there and qualify and earn it in that regard. Was awesome. I think that was 2018 because I tried to qualify in 17 and didn't, and then I qualified in 18, and then I qualified shortly after that. I qualified at Masters Cup, and then I qualified at Vegas, and I qualified at where did I qualify at this year? MVP last year. So it's cool, and it's something that I always kind of look forward to. Is I want to play the major, and this year it's going to be a little bit tougher. I think they've done some weird things to the qualification, but it'll work out. If it happens, it happens, and if not, I'll try Monday qualifying. And if I don't make it, then I don't play this year. It's not the end of the world. It's like I don't have to play every single one. I'd love to, but I know that if I put too much thought into it, I won't make it. But if I just let it happen, it'll probably happen naturally and organically. So I'm interested in the opportunity.
I actually remember because I played like 2018, but Monday qualification day, you were the first guy on the course. You grind it out. Played let's go 3 rounds a day. I'm gonna do this. Man. Yeah,
I was ready.
But it's always quite cool. The Monday, people they play 6-7 holes and they're not good. Back to the one and let's go again. So but
it was cool that I only had to do that one that day. In 17 I played I think 2 or 3. That day I just was on it, played good, and just it was easy at that point because I just had one of those rounds. I was 4 or 5 down going into hole 9, and I was I don't need to do anything on the back 9. I just need to just stay in bounds and par. It was good. It was really good.
Exactly. Then, because we are Powergrip and we are located in Finland, so I want to touch a little bit about your European trip. So 2019 was your first ever disc golf trip to Europe. I remember you mentioned that you have made a trip back in the days to play soccer, but this was to Europe, but this was the first disc golf trip. And you played 2 tournaments here in Finland and got 2nd place at Tuni, and then top 10, finished 9th place on European Open Major
Yeah.
And you got to play that huge gallery that we have every year in European Open. So
I got chills just like remembering the crowd at European Open. It's oof, what a tournament.
So what was it like to see European disc golf scene first time, and is it different than what you guys have in US in general?
I think there's an overall better respect for the game, as like, not to mention, like, it's not to take anything away from how people are here in the States, but we have a lot more of the crew that play disc golf that are like there to do it as like a drinking thing, or to do it way more recreationally, where in Finland the respect for the game is like, people are model professionals, and you guys aren't as loud as most Americans anyways, so it's a lot more quiet, and but the appreciation for the game is kind of hard to grasp. I think there's a better understanding of the practice of disc golf in Finns. Like, they know that it's not something that you can just kind of do. Like, I would likely see more Finns practicing putting before an event, or before a clinic, or working on their form and those kinds of things, where you don't always see that here in the States. People just, they play to play, and that's it. Not to say either is right and either is wrong. It's just a different approach to the game, and I think Finns have that more professional approach, and Americans have a more amateur, casual approach. Now, that's not to say there aren't professionals in the States. It's different, and and maybe that comes down to the fact that you guys only have 5-6 months to really play. So you guys are a lot more hungry. So you have to get quality time in, where in the States, sometimes we can play 12 months out of the year.
Yeah. And it's like, at the moment we have still in snow here and stuff like that. And then over summer is great with all the sunlight daylight we have. So it was probably crazy for you guys as well.
Impossible to adjust to.
In mid-July, so it was perfect time, 24 hours daylight pretty much. And so
I can't wait to get back. I hope that this year we can make it back. And Avery Jenkins actually put this in my head, is he just and this is a very Avery statement, because he's big. He's a big dude. He talks big. That if you're a top player, you don't miss out on the European events.
Okay,
you go. You don't miss any big events. And to me, that stuck out as, I need to play European Open every chance I can. I need to be over there if I have the opportunity, even if I have to shelve out some of my own money, and it's not only just through DD getting me over there. If I need to get over there, I will. And it grows my brand. I felt like that trip alone, I was able to interact with some amazing people from Sweden to Finland to Denmark, and make friendships and make fans of that I might not have had. And that only expands, what I can do going forward as a professional. My brand keeps growing is huge. So it's not only for my own personal gains, it's definitely for that fan interaction and growth of the brand. That gain, I think, is incredibly important. So I will never miss it.
Yeah, it's and Avery is one of the guys that was here, probably one of the first guys ever, already back in 2008, 7, somewhere there, and he haven't missed ever since then. And like you said, it's good for your own personal brand, and even though nowadays if you got coverage on Joe Mays and stuff like that, but it's still so different than interact live and see that. So it's a huge deal, and
agreed.
So I guess we can expect you to come here in the future,
100%.
Every year, if it's after this COVID stuff is gone and done. But so
that's all I'm hoping for, is back to normalcy, and get to come and drive across the country with you and play random disc golf courses. I am so down, man. It'll happen. It'll happen soon.
That was a nice time.
PG Podcast.
So, one of the things that I want to ask you as well is that for us here in Europe, and I think we will have more and more players in the future that are interested to go States like more often and maybe tour longer time. Maybe there's guys that will go full-time tour, but you're one of the guys that have tour using a van, or you guys had the RV. So how that's like, is that easy in States, and what do you think? What would be your like suggestion for European player that want to come to US on tour? What he should do?
So they should definitely, if they are sponsored by a brand, like make use of that community, like take the Trilogy community. If I really, really needed to, I could find somebody in some place that could give me a place to shower or sleep, or maybe even a meal or something like that. So I can save money in that regard. Don't go it alone as well. I was lucky to have Tina be a big part of all the traveling, and she's has a business of her own, was a player as well. Spout, you're killing me. So it was really nice. So don't try and do it completely solo. Find people to work with, because if it's splitting a hotel room, if it's splitting an Airbnb, something like that, it's just less money that you're having to put forth to be comfortable. And it helps. It helps being with somebody and having a friendship and somebody to talk to. And when you have to drive a lot, it isn't great. So make use of the community that you're already a part of. Disc golf is amazing, and a lot of people are excited to meet people from Europe. So that also gives you plenty of opportunities to interact with people who are just excited. Now, of course, in everything we do, you're going to find some weirdos. Like, there are weirdos in every market. In Finland and everywhere in Europe, there's weirdos, but there are a lot of weirdos here in the States. So you have to, you're going to have a couple situations that make you feel awkward, but just grind through it. You're saving money, and helps you make it happen. I personally think that the sport would be better with a more intermixed European and American tournaments, because yourself, Vino, and I mean, like Albert, and like the list goes forever deep of amazing golfers that you guys would force us to play better, we would force you to play better, and everybody kind of elevates. And I think that that's huge. I mean, especially on the women's side of the game with Henna and Evelina and Kristen, that it's already been proven that if they come over here, they're definitely in the conversation. So I think that that's all that is really good for the sport. So COVID needs to be done, and we need to get back to playing more tournaments with each other, because I mean, I miss having, being able to hang out with Seppo or yourself. Like, just so many people over there that when I interact, it becomes huge. I remember being the only person who spoke English at Toonie on my card, and it was so crazy how amazing they were. And I feel like the same concept would happen if the Finns or people from Sweden or Norway, whomever, come to the States, they'd get that same kind of reaction and welcome feeling to the sport.
And I think like Simon have also proved, obviously Simon is one of the best players in this sport, but I think it have helped a little bit also that he's from German, so it also brings a bit more attention when like somebody outside of like States and coming, and like Seppo or Vino or like Albert or somebody like that comes there, play a bunch of tournaments and start to be there. So it's like it's easy to like people recognize you because you're some from somewhere else, and you're different.
Like you're not the norm. So. It's good for everybody. You guys coming here, us going there. I think everybody wins. So,
but I do think that now because the last like few years have been very good for disc golf. So I think now the possibilities also from here to come there more often and be actually European professional disc golfers. The possibilities will grow significantly, even in the future. So we will probably see that more, and then the competition will be even tougher. So
10-20 might not cash is what you're telling me. All right, I need to get better.
So perfect. So my last question before we go to some fan questions is that can you name some few goals that you want to achieve in disc golf? They can be like some like specific tournament goals or outside of like career, like after the career, or what kind of goals you have in mind on your disc golf career?
I love this. Tournament performance wise, I want to have, and I'm not even going to call it like I want a win. I just want a performance that people remember. Yeah. I think I've had some in the past where it's been this like, whoa, Eric Oakley did what? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I want to be in the running at a big event and show up and be professional. And if I take it down, amazing. That's huge. But I just want, again, a memorable moment that is super good and gives me the opportunity to, continue to prove my worth. Because I do it every tournament where I feel like I play well and I keep it ahead, and those are all really positive. But I want that memorable moment in this day and age with being on Jomas and everything. So I feel like the time is coming, and I just have to keep trusting that process of my golf is good enough. If I throw with confidence, I'm going to have a weekend where everything clicks, and I just gotta be ready to run with it and ride the wave, and hopefully it puts me in that really good spot to make a good memory. And then outside of that, I really want to stay involved with dynamic discs in the long run. I feel like I've found a home and a group of people that I can see myself growing with, as not only as a professional but as in a business sense. I'd love to get into course design with Eric McCabe. Being a team captain right now of dynamic discs, it makes me feel like an easy transition could be potentially working with Eric or something like that in the future as a team manager role. And having been on the road for as long as I have, I kind of understand that life pretty well. I could see myself transitioning into, again, course design. I'm Eric McCabe 2.0. I'm other Eric it works out great. It works out great in that way. So, he's done so much for me, and I want to keep following in his footsteps, because he's really paved the way for a lot of us, especially on the team, to do some amazing things. Yeah. So that's kind of where I see myself, is, staying relevant in the sport to some extent, through social media, through course design, through, team manager type stuff, or whatever DD's opportunity throws at me. If I become more of a media person, I'd love that. I love working with Bobby, Anthony, and Danny. And so again, I feel like being with DD gives me those opportunities to just stay relevant in disc golf, and I could be happy doing any of those.
Yeah. So basically, like, you're not going to go anywhere. So eventually, if the like tour life, like playing tournaments will be gone, but you want to be associated with like disc golf in some way.
Totally. I would love to be like Johnny McRae. Like that would be the goal of anybody, is like, oh, I'm older than time and I still compete at a 1030, 1040 rated level. Like, exactly. Sure, sign me up. I would love to do that. Now, I need to find out what Johnny's doing, what he's eating, what he's doing to do the same. But, so much respect for players like him and Patrick Brown and a lot of the older guys who just keep grinding and keep doing it at a high level. So I can only hope that I can even scratch the surface of what they've done as I get older. I would love to keep playing as long as I can. Of course. all of us would. But you have to be realistic too.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
PK Podcast.
So now we have gone through a little bit your like beginning and how you got to professional scene and some of your most memorable moments and all that kind of stuff. So let's get some fan questions next. And I looked over some questions, and first questions coming from Santeri Russo Disc Golf, and he asks best/most fun memory with Eagle McMahon.
Man, okay, so a funny one is the first time I ever saw Eagle McMahon play basketball. That to me is like burned into my brain of because he didn't play many sports growing up outside of disc golf, so he didn't have that same type of coordination. Like when you see him throw a disc, you're like, oh, he's super athletic. But then you see him do anything else, it wasn't. He's actually worked on it. Like he goes and shoots hoops from time to time. He's learned how to juggle a soccer ball. He's done a lot to become a lot more coordinated, and I have nothing but respect for him. That's a funny one, man. I don't necessarily have one moment because I felt like with Eagle and I, we like him and I have never fought, like never had like an argument, like we've had disagreements, but we've never really like had an argument and been mad at each other. We've all had this relationship where it's been super easy. We get along. We kind of like fit together as best friends, and it just worked out nicely. And the funny thing is he's 10 years younger than me, and we get along so well. It's like there's a huge age gap and a huge like just it's pretty nuts. So but I think that disc golf also does that. It doesn't bridges
really,
the gap.
Like you mentioned, Johnny McRae. It doesn't really matter. You can be 19 or you can be like 45. It's like it's just like would you like be that close with another like soccer player that is 10 years older or younger? Probably not. So it's crazy. And I have to add that basketball skills, because like what I have like got to know American players, it's unbelievable how much talent you guys have. Like I have seen like example like Paul Ulibarri. He could be good at anything, like basketball, like playing pool, like you name it. Like he like
it's the competitive nature, man.
Golf, like traditional golf or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it could be. So it's
give an opportunity to be good. We're gonna try and seize that. So it's good.
But Eagle is probably not the best, but he's good at disc golf. So
he's incredible.
So that's enough for him. So. Yeah. So good for him. So next question, Olgonen asked: is there any side effect from your unique style of throwing discs, and added more like physical ones?
Not anything that I can come up with.
You had the elbow thing now.
I did. But that was
probably not the backhand form, at least.
It was backhand.
Okay.
Forehand didn't hurt it because it was on his top side. So like like forehands are usually in the lower part of the elbow.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really interesting that it was from backhand, but I think it was because we started playing pickleball.
Okay.
And so I think I just was like hitting, and so I've had to stop playing pickleball even though I love it. I don't think I've had much impact. I know at one point I had some lower back issues, but I don't think that had anything to do with my form. I think what it had to do with was I wasn't properly warming up or cooling down.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I make sure I roll out. I get a good proper warm up in, and I haven't had many lower back issues since. Like it'll get sore from time to time, but that's just from the workload of throwing a lot and practicing and or driving from tournament to tournament. So I've just put a lot more preparation into my warm up and my cool down.
Yeah.
So I don't feel those side effects as much anymore, which has been really nice. And I thank Seth Muncie Disc Golf Strong for instilling that in me to not be a lazy bum and to be an actual athlete. So
addition for that was like another question came from Pete Niemelä, and he asked it about your technique, and have you always thrown with that kind of your hop and the other question was have you ever tried like more traditional or normal technique?
So I have tried.
Yeah.
It didn't go well, and I felt really bad. But again, I saw Steve Brinster in like 2004, 2005 with the hop, and I went out and tried it, and it worked. I like generated a little bit more power. Yeah,
you guys have actually pretty much similar. Only thing that was different for you in the beginning was the arm. I guess people it kind of makes the technique looks even like kind of crazy, but like it's like it's just like at least people recognize you. That's
totally. You can see me from thousands of feet away and be like, "Yep, that's Eric Oakley." But like I always had the hop, and I used to reach down and then up and then throw through. But I've really been focusing. It was like a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was actually before I came to Europe. I focused on keeping the disc a little bit higher up and not reaching down, but reaching out.
More level. Yeah.
Yeah. And that helped. That actually helped a lot in my consistency. And I think that helped me kind of elevate from 2010 to 1020.
Next level. Yeah.
Because I wasn't off the line ever. It was just easy pull through. And I think I gained a little extra power too, just by doing so, because all the energy went into the disc, not into correcting the line.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
So next question, Elmeri Noppa asks, what's your favorite disc, favorite course, and favorite hole? I guess we all know the disc, but you can take a moment for this.
Felon's the best disc that I've used, because it has earned me more strokes, or saved me more strokes, made me the most money than most discs in my bag. I know I can thank you for this. A close second is definitely pushing into the Explorer. That disc is amazing, and like the compliment of the Evader has been really big. So those discs I think earned me a lot of strokes at Vegas, and are going to give me more confidence, because I can now tackle any forehand shot, any overstable shot, any dead straight shot that's like that can't turn, and then any like longer turning or longer straighter shot with the Explorer. So like I have everything. I feel like I'm like ready to go, and especially at the tournament like Waco in the woods, like I'm going to be leaning on those fairway drivers. So Felon for sure, close second, Evader, Explorer, Raider, easily in that, and Enforcer in that category, and then Wardens and Emectrus, but that's like basically that bag we're talking about. Course is probably I'd have to say it's a tie between like Brewster Ridge and Foxford Meadows at Green Mountain Championships, because I like both. Like if that was one course, I would say it's Green Mountain, like because I like both of those so much. And then up there would be European Open.
The Nokia Beast.
It was super fun, and I think it reminds me of why like Maple Hill is so special in that way of the crowd. Like when we have crowds and fans, like it feels weird to say that tournament, like MVP is like the eight holes. Zach Benson is a good friend of ours who's a king of the 8 holes. That was awesome. Hole 18 at MVP made that tournament so good. And I think the same concept happened was how many people I saw. I remember walking from hole 16.
Yeah, the island hole.
To hole 17.
You have to go through all the people.
And I looked up and I was like, oh my God, there are so many people here. And then I saw Lead Card walking, and there was a monstrous crowd following them. And I was just like, this is insane. I think that made me like it so much. And the course itself is awesome. Like it's a very fun and good track. So
I think that the Nokia course is one of those that you have, like, it's not only like open Heiser, because you have the first like 6-7 holes in the woods, and then you have like a kind of like semi-open / wooded holes in the middle, and then the last 4 is to kind of the cream top of the cake, and then like all the spectators and all that. So I for my opinion, those are the best like closing holes in disc golf. Like for like a big tournament, because it has all the aspects to
for sure. And
scoring
those last 4 holes is like you could be 4 strokes up and you could lose. Like it's not even like that you're like guaranteed to win, because
but then you can go 4 down as well. Like
totally. If you're throwing the disc well, you can easily make that happen. I completely agree. And then if you're talking best hole, I think probably one of my favorite holes, I'm not even sure what number it is. It might be hole 10 at Waco. It's it's a par 4. It's like a long, basically a long straight tunnel. And like early off the box, it goes like down and then back up. But then it's like this meadow in the woods. And it's so fun to just, I don't know, picturesque, beautiful. When you get the birdie on it, you've done something good, because you can throw a good shot and it's still a difficult approach to the green, because the basket is kind of perched on a mound where it like slopes in 2 different directions behind it. So it just requires 2 really good shots, and it's honestly another reason why I've liked the Explorer so much, because it made it so much easier, because I was always throwing distance drivers and then leaking left into the depth that is the woods on the left, and I was just able to go Explorer to the middle. It doesn't even matter if it goes that far, and I had a birdie opportunity at the time. So I picked that as my favorite hole.
Yeah, perfect. So let's go to the next question. Niilo Kohtala asks, why did you choose Dynamic Disc to be your sponsor?
After I separated from Discmania, simply to put it, is we had different thoughts and directions on the future. Between what I wanted to do and what Discmania wanted to do was very different. So it was it wasn't easy. It was just the right thing to do, to go our separate ways. I had known a lot of people growing up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Dynamic Disc has a pretty good stronghold with Steven Story and his crew at Dynamic Disc Carrollton. So I had seen what they do. So I already knew what the company was about. I spent a lot of time with Jonathan Ray, who's a RV driver for Dynamic Discs. And those interactions were awesome. I had a lot of interactions with Eric McCabe as well in the past. So it always been very positive. And I think what made the most sense was that they were pushing media, and I was getting bigger into social media. So it made the most sense. And in my conversations with Dynamic Discs, it was so easy to see that there was no ceiling on what I could do at the company. And that was so like enticing for me, is that I knew that the opportunities were endless, and I appreciated how much they were looking to invest back into the sport. They were looking to invest back into the players as things kind of progressed onward. And it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And we fit each other perfectly in that regard of, positivity and social media presence, and pushing the sport in that way. So that was really big. And I honestly think I've landed in the best possible spot that I could have ended up in disc golf. I could have gone a couple other directions, but this was the true place of where I should be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
PG Podcast.
Tuomas Nykänen asks, do you have any tips for mental game? What's your thought about a mental game?
So mentally is the hardest thing. I think it's probably been my weakest point, but people view me as this happy, always positive kind of guy. And they've caught me on good days, because I'm human. I'm a human being, and I struggle with the same mental stuff that everybody does. And it's normal. But
playing bad, it sucks.
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst thing in the world. And there's you can't just be like, oh, it's just another putt. No, this is great. You can't actually do that. You need to give yourself time to be human, and you need to be, Jeremy Colling is the extra person who told me this, and I think it's stuck true, is you have to be able to forgive yourself.
Okay.
You're going to make mistakes, and you have to be able to move past that. And the first part of that is forgiveness. And, but mentally, what I've been doing a lot lately is just telling myself I'm good enough. Yeah. Telling myself I can do this. Before every putt, I have a little mantra that says, you're going to make this putt. I'm going to make this putt. You've got this. Like, I'll say those things to myself in my head every time. Like, you've got this, dude. You're going to make it. And that level of like coaching of myself helps a ton. Like, I'm giving myself confidence. I'm seeing myself make the putt. And even if I don't, I step up to the very next putt with the same mantra and the same thought. I don't let it compound.
And going through that, it doesn't let you room to think about, oh, what if I miss? Because you're like thinking the one thing, and it's like a good thing. One thing came to my mind already earlier, but regarding this mental game, and I think one of the hardest thing is not only like be mentally prepared for like one round, but like for European players, like I would like to hear how you handle mentally like long stretch of tournaments. Like we talked today earlier, an example this year, you guys will have like a huge stretch of tournaments, like Masters Cup and like Portland and all that, and then possibly coming Europe, and after that you say like 13 weeks in like straight, and all our pro tours, national tours, worlds, and one major. So like you can't miss any of those. So it's 3 months straight. So what's your like, how you think about like going tournament to tournament if it's a bad tournament? How you mentally prepare?
You have to kind of leave things in the past. Like you have to constantly look forward. Lamoureux, DD guy here in Dallas Fort Worth, he told me at a tournament, he said, "Hey, look forward." And that was honestly probably the best thing is, you know, we have an opportunity to play golf the next weekend. We're always like, we're going to play golf again. And we have to look forward to that. And if you need to, take a look back at the event. If it was poor, if it was positive, look at things that you did well, look at things that you want to improve on, and then apply that going forward. Don't look at, like, whoa, I went OB, I did all this. Like, it's like, take a second and be like, why did I go OB? I chose the wrong disc. Oh, I threw the wrong angle. Ooh, I did this. Okay, so I need to think about my disc selection. I need to commit to my angle. I need to be more focused inside the circle. Easy fixes, then you can apply that to the next tournament. So you have to look at it. You can't look at it this, woe is me. I did good, but it just wasn't good. Like, you can't do that. You have to be like, all right, hard work starts now. I need to be focused on it. Yeah. Another thing that I will say that I've recently done that I didn't used to do is I'm taking time off. Like before Vegas, I was lucky enough to get there to have an extra day. So I practiced on Sunday. The tournament started on Thursday. So I practiced on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and had a very, very light day on Wednesday. Like I probably threw something. I threw like 4 holes and putted a little bit. I didn't have to go play a full round. I didn't need to play 36 holes. Like, I took time off. And ever since I've started to do that with my game, I feel like I have the energy to play 4 rounds of a tournament. I have the energy come Sunday, hole 15. I'm not sitting here thinking like, I'm so tired. I'm ready. I have the energy for it. And so it's being aware of where I'm at, like physically, and my energy levels, I need to stay on the up. So that has been huge. And especially I think in that 13-week stretch, a lot of the courses I've played before. So that plays into my favor, that I don't need to spend every single day practicing them, that I can take a little extra time for Eric and to recover. So it's good. Yeah.
It could be even that you don't really have to, even like maybe some courses you don't even have to like practice, maybe like some like throwing into like a field a little bit, but like putting. Because if you know the holes, you know the shots, you don't really have to go throw the 5 side rounds. Like I have to play this as long as I get the good shot. It's like you know what the good shot looks like. And you have to trust yourself. And I think that's the other part of it, is like trusting in your ability. Even if it hasn't been going good, like you could be 5 holes in and be 5 over par. You still have to go into hole 6 thinking, I'm good.
it's going to work out. You can't even that it again, that's that positive affirmations, that telling yourself that you're capable of it. Because guess what? You've made that shot before. It might not be on this course. It might have been in past years, but you've made that shot or you've made that putt in other rounds or in practice at some point in your career. So just have to trust that and let it run.
Yeah, exactly. So my last fan question here coming from Vilu, and he asks, what's your favorite tournament?
It's tough because, again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like it's Green Mountain as the two courses, and what it offers is unbelievable. That's like an easy one, but there's arguments to the GBO, DDO as an event, because it's just so much about dynamic discs, and I get to see so many people, and the fly mart makes it so cool. It's like that has its own draw to it, and being in Emporia is awesome, and they really take care of us and make us, and the whole city makes disc golf feel special. And then going to European Open for playing that one, like, is an easily front runner of events. And then if I'm thinking smaller events, Jonesboro comes to my mind. It's the first tournament that I, really showed up at and had a podium finish. So that was pretty special. But outside of that, it's like, I think it's just those main three, and they're for different reasons. Of Vermont for the location and the courses, DDO for the people, European Open for the prestige, and
probably USCC as well for the
it's definitely in the conversation. So the beauty of it is, man, is I get to play amazing tournaments. I get to play on some of the best courses in the world. I'm super lucky and very fortunate to have those types of opportunities, and it's definitely not something that I'm taking for granted, and it's something that I'm going to continue to push. And hopefully, as we mentioned, like, I get into course design, and maybe I had to help design a course that becomes a major level course and pushes into the forefront, because I think that's the only thing that we need now is we need to elevate the course design to fit where the sport is going. We can't really change everything with mandatories and OBs everywhere. It's like, no, we need to be on different properties. We need to be on on Nokia, the Beast. We need to be why those 4 holes finishing out are so good is because of how they're designed. Lucy and I have had many disagreements in the past on many different things, but I will not discredit him on designing a good course and a good tournament, because he has proven that it's right. And I, having played it, man, I felt it on all of those holes. Those holes are daunting, but at the same time, when you execute and you do it, you're like, I'm awesome. I am so good. I birdied hole 18, European Open. I'm awesome. I'm the best player in the world.
Like a walk on hole 18 after you're in the sweet spot and you throw the hyzer and it skips to the hay bale and you're like, I don't have to putt. And then you take the walk and there's like thousands of spectators and like everybody look at you and you're like, it's like a walk of fame. So it's
totally. It makes you, I just got chills again thinking about it, because, it's something like that is really hard to replicate. And, if I ever can design or be a part of a tournament that does something similar to that, I will feel very, very fortunate. And, that's all we can hope for, is that our sport continues to evolve, the courses continue to evolve, and giving us these opportunities to do those things and to be a part of events that feel epic and awesome. So that's all we can really hope for.
PK Podcast.
That's pretty much it. So I want to thank you, Eric, to joining this Powergrip podcast, and it's been nice to know you already. Like, few years, I remember meeting you 2016 and La Mirada World Tour. And
good times, man. It's come a long way.
Yeah. So do you have any last words to the audience on this? No.
I mean, to plug myself and plug Dynamic Disc, make sure you guys are following all of those avenues. Follow me on Instagram at the Eric Oakley. Follow us on YouTube, Whale Pants. Go to whalesacks.com, pick some stuff up. Make sure you guys support Powergrip. They are probably, I think, one of the only wholesalers of whale sacks in Europe. So they've supported Tina, and it gave us an opportunity to get that. So keep plugging them as much as possible. But outside of that stuff, just keep supporting disc golf, keep supporting amazing brands like Powergrip that are really looking to keep the sport going in the right direction. And support Dynamic Discs. They take care of me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So yeah, that's all I got. And thank you everybody for tuning in and supporting what we have going on here. It's awesome.
Perfect. I want to thank you, Eric, for joining, and
thank you.
We'll see next Friday on the new episode. Thanks for listening. Perfect.
Cheers, man.
Bye.